So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm super excited to have my mentor here today, Sam Cawthon. Sam Cawthon, I have known him for about 2 years and about 6, 7 months, and I've had some fantastic time with him. Fantastic time with him. Sam is a very known, I don't have to really introduce him. Who doesn't know Sam? Sam is the CEO of Speakers Institute, which undoubtedly is the best speaker training institute in the world. No doubt about that. Now, Sam has been particularly very good to us in India. He's been coming here regularly. He's built up a beautiful speakers tribe in India, and we are just loving his proximity because he says proximity is power. That's what we talk about. So, Sam, we are very happy to have you here. And before I call you up on stage, I just want to tell the audience a couple of things that you must know about him. One is that he is a positive guy. He is an authority on the subject of resilience. He's the one who has a personal story of being almost dead after a car accident and then not bouncing back but bouncing forward. And
Wow.
he's written this book called Bouncing Forward. Of course, he's a bestseller of many books, but the one that has really stolen my heart is People Follow People. That's his latest book, and that's the only book, I must confess, which I've read page to page. The others I have scanned through, but this one I've read page to page, and I really resonate. And I use some of his profound knowledge in that book in my leadership training and coaching. So thank you, Sam, for being here. There's a lot more I can talk about him, but at the moment, I think Google has it all. I've got 45 minutes with him, and I want to make the best of it. Every second counts. So, Sam, would you like to say something to begin, and then we will get into a discussion? Today, we are here to talk about how time management and productivity impacts a leader, particularly in the emerging future that is coming up. And there is so much of a change. There's uncertainty, and how do we handle that? And by the way, viewers, let me tell you, I started hearing these things from Sam in our master classes in the beginning of 2020 when pandemic just started. He used to talk about uncertainty then. He taught us how to come out of COVID. And it was his guidance that I have particularly, I was able to train the online trainer program. My training never suffered during the pandemic because of him. So thank you, Sam, and over to you.
Haha, thank you very much, and thanks again for having me. Look, one thing I have actually noticed about you, Shushul, is the way that you continue to be curious and want to continue to upskill yourself. Sometimes I've noticed with a lot of leaders, they've been there, they've done that, they've got all the expertise, they've got all the experience as possible. But if you lose your curiosity, if you lose that area of wanting to learn, grow, expand, and upskill, then unfortunately you'll become stale very soon. And so I always want to be a student of life. And as we always know, you can learn the easy way, the hard way, the tragic way. You learn the easy way, learn from other people's mistakes, learn the hard way, learn from your own mistakes. It'll take you 10 times longer, but as long as you're learning, but don't ever go tragic. And what's tragic? Not learning from either. You do the same thing and you expect a different result. And then you do the same thing and then you expect a different result. And then you do the same thing, you get the picture. So I'm really inspired by you, Shushul. I just love the way that you continue to upskill yourself and lean into proximity. But, mate, you are a leader worth following. And I'm excited about today with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sam. So I want to begin by asking you, and if I really caught on this word called futurist, it was from you, and way back in 2019, you started talking to us about how we need to be peeping into the future and be future ready. So let me start by that. That today when we've just come out of a pandemic and we expected things to be some way. We thought it'll go totally digital or more digital and less physical. It hasn't really happened. We seem to be quite back into the same place. But after coming back from COVID, like it happens in war, the people who have come back are not the same people. They have gone through trauma, they've gone through tragedies, they are shaken up.
Yes.
And therefore, what would you say are the greatest challenges for the future leaders who have to manage these people who maybe there physically, but their mental state, their emotional state is not the same as it was before the pandemic? So, how do we, uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
what,
So look,
what does that
I love.
leadership look like?
Yeah, there's a lady out there. Her name is Brené Brown, and Brené Brown talks about vulnerability. Now, I love that word vulnerability. It comes from the Latin word vulnerabilis, which means an open wound. And I believe we've all got scars. We've had some tragedies, both personal, both professional. We've had those successes, but we've also had those failures. And the reality is, even though we all have these scars and these open wounds and the like, doesn't necessarily mean that we need to give up. This is where we do need to continue to have that grit and that determination to continue to push forward. So this is certainly something that I've seen a lot in the marketplace at the moment where, yes, you're right. There's been more uncertainty than any other time in history. And not only that, here we are coming out of the pandemic in the last couple of weeks of 2022. And now all of a sudden we're thinking 2023, what does that look like? What does the future of this look like? And the reality is it is so important for us all to continue to be a futurist, to have an opinion of where the future is going. And I even would even go as far as to say this: be the primary translator of your industry sector. Now, what that means is you go out in fringes and you find out all the latest trends, and then you dissect that in a way, but then also have an opinion on where the future is going. Because if you want to win your marketplace, win your market, win your working, win your target audience or whatever it is, if you want to really win their attention, what they're thinking about right now is the future. And it is so important for you to get out there and be that futurist in the world. So it's sentences that I use, sentences like, what we're going to see in the future is, or what we know about the future is, or the 3 trends in 2023 will be. And the more that we have our finger on the pulse, the more that we can show to our workplace, to our marketplace, that we are relevant. And for me, everything is about being relevant. And I have a feeling, I think I've just lost Sushil. So it looks like I'm here by myself. Yay! You've probably already noticed I do get pretty excited sometimes. And if you are actually online, I'm really glad that you are joining us. And I reckon he's either lost his internet, he's either lost his power, he either pressed the wrong button. But it is what it is. Technology doesn't always go according to plan. So what we might do, we might actually just simply pause this conversation right now for those people that have joined us. And we will be coming back in a moment in order for you to continue on listening to this conversation. But mark my words, it's going to be a really powerful conversation. So make sure you continue to lean in where you can. I'm now going to turn off my screen and I'm going to find out if Sushil is okay. See you in a moment. So, Sushil,
Okay.
I did talk for a little while there, and then I kept talking, and I kept kept them all engaged. And I said, "Look, just give us about 3 minutes. I'm sure Sushil will be back." So I just turned off my video and my audio only about 3 minutes ago, so it's all good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, how much did you finish? Can I just get a little clue on
Oh,
what are
Deepak just actually asked the question: how has leadership changed in the past few years? Do you want us to answer that question or what, Sushil?
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that because I want to make it interactive. So, guys who are watching us, please feel free to ask questions because we must get the best out of Sam in these 45 minutes. And we've already lost a few. So, let's catch up. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Let me answer that question. And Deepak Kamani, I like you, and yes, you are a futurist, and I'm so glad you've actually got futurist there on your profile. So, how has leadership changed in the last few years? I actually think the biggest part of leadership is vulnerability, authenticity, and transparency. What we're now seeing is that we are losing trust in those organizations and those individuals that are not transparent with us. I would way rather hear from the actual person themselves that they've failed, that they've stuffed up, rather than other people telling me. And there's so much power in authentic vulnerability and transparency. And so I'm going to lean into a leader that is more transparent. I'm going to listen to a leader that is more vulnerable. And for me, these are attractive traits to build trust. Now, what we know is that leadership is all about trust. There is nothing worse when you do not trust your manager or your boss. There's nothing worse when you don't trust the company. There's nothing worse and you don't even trust your own loved ones in your own personal life. So trust, I think, is everything. And I feel that trust, the cornerstone of trust is transparency and authenticity. And you know why? And excuse me saying this, but and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, Sushil, but I believe humans now, we have big bullshitter meters. And what that is that we can spot a fraud a mile away. So you can't cover up anything. And how I see it, everything will be revealed eventually. Every hidden truth will be revealed eventually. So you might as well be transparent today in order for you to win their hearts and minds in tomorrow's world.
You know, Sam, you said something so beautiful. When I joined my battalion in the army, my commanding officer was the first thing he told me was, remember, there are no secrets. Whatever you say gets to be known by your men, by your soldiers. They get to know it very soon. So they will know your real self. Don't pretend. Don't put up a mask. And I think that works so beautifully. And that's exactly what you're saying. You have to be transparent. And also, I think the led are always looking for genuine, reasoned out instruction to obey, even if you are an authoritative leader in the army. But they don't want to follow blindly. They want to know why, and that why should come before they ask for it. So, thank you very much, Sam. That was good. Now, I want to ask you another thing, and that is that as we are unfolding, and I see some people also saying, like here, Pramate is saying leadership changed in a very drastic way. And he also says that COVID pandemic has affected a lot on the globe and their leaders. The point is, now what do we do? What do we do as leaders to cope up with this change? Because change has always been there, but the speed of change that is happening now is something which leaders have to be facing that challenge very squarely. So how do we cope up with the speed of change that is happening right now?
Yeah, good question. So there's a couple of things that I will mention here. In my latest book which Sushil has actually just mentioned, it is called People Follow People. And listen to this. The subtitle is The 12 Characteristics of an Influential Leader. And I think in most cases, leadership isn't just a title. It's actually winning people's attention. It's influencing them in a powerful way. Actually, one of my mentors, John C. Maxwell, actually said, you're not a true leader until such time as you have led volunteers. So even for our organization, every single year, we oversee 300 volunteers for our events all around the world. Even today, we're running 5 events today, and we actually have close to 5 to 6 volunteers in each one of those events. So there's a few things here that I will mention in and around my latest book, People Follow People, and it's this. I'm from a family of 11. Okay, so there's 7 boys and there's 4 girls. I'm number 9 in the order. But with my mum and dad, now there's 13. So there's 13 people in the family. Now, the reality is we only had a dinner table that had 12 seats maximum. You could not fit a single more seat on there. So what that meant was that a table of 12, but we had 13 people in the family. And the reality is this. Someone would have to miss out on having a seat at the table. And how I see this as a powerful metaphor is that who do you allow on your table? What are the values? What is the characteristics? What is the traits that you have that you live by, that you are willing to stand by? You know, they say if you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything. And so for me, how I see leadership very much so is the character of a leader. You know, it's one thing saying one thing and then doing in something else. It's one thing, you know, promising this, but then doing something else. It's one thing, you know, not following through with what you said and so on and so forth. But yet at the same time, I also feel that without vision, the people perish. And so for me, there are a number of traits in and around leadership in tomorrow's world, but certainly a fundamental trait is character. And not only that, how I see it is that I feel that we all need to be very mindful now about inclusion, diversity, making people feel safe in their environment. And I think the more safe people feel, the more that they will want to raise the 3 Ps. What are the 3 Ps? Productivity, performance, and profits.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Wonderful. So, very, very well explained, Sam. And I want to take you further to, uh, you know, what you just said, making people feel safe. And there's a very effective TEDx talk by, or is it a video by Simon Sinek, who talks of how leaders make people safe, and that is where the humanity started, where you could sleep because people outside would guard you and make sure that they kept you away from danger. Right now, we know that you run the most efficient and known speakers training institute in the world. You also have now got Speakers Institute Corporate. And we also know that you are an individual speaker and you have to manage a lot of your speaking assignments. How do you manage your time and your priorities? And how do you think a leader needs to be very, very careful about his priorities and time management?
Yeah, look, another really, really great question. So there's a few things that have really helped me over the years, and certainly, you know, there is a lot on my plate. You know, I run a large global charity organization. I also run 6 companies, which is Speakers Institute group of companies, as well as also I do my own keynote. So I am on stage a lot every day. But also at the same time, I'm a father and I'm a husband. And so it was a few years ago where I thought I was at capacity. And we've all heard of that word capacity. You know, look, I can't fit anything else in. And to be quite honest, we use the word busy as a badge of honor a lot of the time, don't we? You know, we say, oh, I've been so busy. Oh, look, you know, look how busy I am. And then we have busy offs. You know, to try and prove to each other who is more busier. And for me, it's just insane. And then for me, I was at a capacity. And then I heard a message from one of my mentors, and it said this: Sam, enlarge your capacity. And for me, just those words meant everything. And I was thinking, how can I enlarge it? How can I do that? And then I was thinking of other leaders around the world, whether they're world presidents or whether they're CEOs of large Fortune 100 companies and the like. And I'm thinking, wait a sec, no, I can enlarge my capacity. And so for me, that was going to be pivotal to my success. But Sushil, I do want to mention one more thing, which I think is really, really imperative. So listen to this. What we know about my industry, which is the speaking and conference industry, is that normally throughout August to October is the busiest period for events and conferences. Well, that's certainly it is here in Australia, which is my main base, Australia, New Zealand. But at the same time, I've just been I've been traveling, constantly throughout the last 10, 15 plus years of my life. And I have a 14-year-old son, just turned 14 in August. He's going through puberty. He wants to be a man, but he's still a boy. Now, there's a thing in Australia, which is by our Indigenous, Aboriginal First Nations people, and it's called this, Go Walkabout. And basically what Go Walkabout is actually about going into the bush, going into the outback of Australia, where young boys, they turn into a man. And so do you know what I did, Sushil? Instead of me accepting all these speaking engagements that was coming to me left, right, and center, I made a decision that in the busiest period in my career, I took 2 months off work. I took my son out of school and I went walkabout with him. We did 18,000 kilometers around Australia. We went to some of the most outback, remote places on the entire planet. And my young boy, he turned into a man during that period as a 14.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So for me, Sushil,
really
that is leadership.
I totally agree with you. And you know what, Sam, what you've brought out so beautifully and so emotionally is your priorities, which means you need to, that is an individual choice. whether you give priority to your work, to your family, and how much, what proportion. You can't make 0 and 100 of anything. You have to have a balance. And there was a time in my life when I was so busy in the army in my work that I totally ignored my family. And when my little daughter, who was that time about 9, 7 or 8, something like that, and when I had to go away to a field posting, and she told some of my friends who had come in, and they asked her, "Do you miss Papa?" She said, "No." "See, you don't miss your father?" She said, "No, he was never there for us. He was only busy in work." And she said, as a little girl, her impression, he only comes home to eat food, sleep, and talk on the phone. And that was a big slap on my face. And I then turned around and deliberately started allocating time for my family, which I said is not available to anyone in the world.
I think that's an attractive trait in the marketplace as well. I do. Because if a man can take care of his family, then he can take care of an organization. But the reality is this: if a man can't take care of his family, then how the heck can he take care of an organization?
Absolutely. And also, what you very rightly said is that the dedication with which you work in a particular thing. And that brings me to another question: how do you maintain your focus? Which means when you are with your family, then your 100% attention is with your family. And when you are at work, then you are a total 100% attention at work. So how do you maintain this focus and balance?
Yeah, look, how I see it, I actually think you need to schedule your energy, okay? Schedule your energy. Now, what that is that I literally put in the diary my down times. I put in the diary when I'm going to spend time with my family. I put in the diary when I'm going to do when I'm going to have my finance meeting, etc. Now, this is something that I learned from the CEO of IKEA. The CEO of IKEA, which obviously, is one of the largest Swedish brands in the world, he basically schedules his time by 15-minute moments. So if you have a look at my diary, you'll see my entire day is scheduled in 15 different moments. And so how I see it across the board is in order for you to get anything done and be the most productive that you can be as a leader, is that you need to schedule your energy. And so for me, I schedule in my third space. There's a concept, actually one of my mates, his name is Dr. Adam Fraser, and he wrote a book called Third Space. And basically what that is where like a lot of the time we give of our energy, of our time, etc. But what do we do for us in order for us to recharge our tank? Our energy is like a tank. And particularly here at the end of the year, straight after Diwali, etc., maybe our energy might be full, but let's say, leading into a big holiday or the like, our tank might be quite empty. And so what are you doing to schedule in your third space? Time that you spend just for you to recharge yourself. There's the CEO of the largest bank in Australia, financial institution in Australia called Commonwealth Bank. You know what he did? Because he was a very high performer. He had young family, he had wife, etc. Do you know what he did? Because he had the money. I'm not saying you do it, but he had the money. He, at his home, he set up a special room that goes straight from this carport before he goes into the house. So basically, he drives this car in. So instead of going into the home with this stress, corporate mindset, he drove into the house. He went into his little special room. He had a shower. He had a nice little, very quick nap. He had a little bit of munchies, etc. Then he got himself centered. He disassociated himself from work. Then he entered into the family home. It was a beautiful space, which he called third space. And so my challenge to everyone watching this...
Who's this, Sam?
He is the CEO of Commonwealth Bank, the largest bank in Australia. His name is lost from my lips at the moment. But my encouragement to everyone there, have a third space in order for you to show up, in order for you to schedule your energy well.
That's very good. Sam, by the way, I'll just take a minute here to tell you that in my time management studies and my experiments, I have got something called the time wave. And in the time wave, I talk about how you have to identify those hours of the day where you are at your best in terms of receptivity. And that becomes what I call your prime time. So you have to schedule your best or most important jobs at the prime time. Then when your energy starts getting a little drained out, I call it the downslope. And in the downslope, now you do your second priority jobs, which is making calls, answering emails, which may not require that level of thinking or mental alertness. And then there's a trough where you really get absolutely like exhausted. And that's the time you have a break, listen to music, pet your dog or whatever. And then you regain energy and come up to something called, I call it the upslope, which is where you now do your second priority jobs because you regained your energy. So if you follow this time wave, I call it, you will be able to schedule your energy the way you just said. So that's a tool that's a tool which I use or recommend for energy management. Now, as we are talking about this and what you've just said is so profound, Sam, I'd like you to mention something about your me time. What do when you said you want to spend time with your family and everything, what about some time which is only for myself? Because I do find time for my work, for my family, even for my dog, but no time for myself.
Yeah, so personally for me, there's a few things that I love doing. I do love going for a drive, so I do own a few cars, and I do like, just on the nice, clean, open road and just exploring nature, going for a walk, etc. I also do enjoy the relaxation in the spa as well. So whether that is a float tank or whether it's a nice bubble bath spa and the like. And even sometimes I like going to the movies, but by myself. I don't like going with anyone because they talk too much. And so I'll sit there in the middle of the cinema, I'll eat my ice cream, and it's a great way for me for my third space. So they're 3 areas for me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And uh, I have a question, and there are some questions pouring in. So I'll just take one or two of these very good questions. Moses is coming out with a lot of questions, and they are long ones. But let's take this one, where he says that everyone does not become successful. Success is not an earning great money alone. Even a street food vendor earns a lot of money that meets his needs. However, when we start touching people's hearts, and when many people start talking about us and remembering us even after our death, is a successful person. So how is he had another question to follow. uh, Anyway, I think we'll just stop here and uh, just pay attention to what he said, that it's not only about earning money, it's about how you transform people's lives or touch people's hearts. And What is that true leadership about?
Yeah, so obviously I can just see Moses's question here on the screen. Money is important to everyone's life. Do you agree or not? Of course, it's important. If I didn't have any money, I won't be able to eat. I won't be able to have a bed. I won't be able to buy clothes. I won't be able to breathe in clean air. You're not really alive. So obviously, money is a great vehicle. Absolutely. But what specifically was your question? Sorry, Sushil.
No, actually, it was a long question, but I missed the second part. I can't locate it. So I think we could
We can
probably
go to the next one.
go to the next one. Uh, I've just come back from Maldives after a vacation. And at night, I was just putting my thoughts to what we are going to talk about today. And I realized that I was distracted a lot by about 400 to 500 emails that had piled up. There were a lot of questions and a lot of conversations on LinkedIn direct messages, on Instagram direct messages, on WhatsApp. There were so many messages. And I find that as a leader, now the communication channels is not just one. You get telephone calls, you get WhatsApp messages, you get voice messages, you get messages on LinkedIn and all that. How do you do it for yourself, and what do you suggest for people to uh, manage this
Yeah.
space of communication through, I'm not talking of socializing, I'm talking about managing business, because today business also happens on WhatsApp. Business also happens on LinkedIn. It also happens in emails. So you can't say I just watch my emails and I don't do that, because you'll miss out an opportunity probably.
Yeah, look. I think how I see it is emails in general are other people's agendas. In most cases, and social media is the greatest way to distract someone else's attention. It's certainly from a marketing point of view, I think it's outstanding. If you want to build a great funnel system and fill up a room, or win your marketplace's attention. Social, when I first started out, there was no social media at all. Literally, I was a professional speaker, and there's no social media. But look, in most cases, it can be a very powerful vehicle, but it also can be the ultimate distractor as well. So you're going to have boundaries, have boundaries in your life. And whatever boundaries they are, I've got a friend of mine who basically just simply has a really, really basic phone. And as soon as work finishes, he takes out the SIM card of his normal smart device. He'll put the SIM card in a normal, ordinary phone, which doesn't even get SMSs. So the reality is, if you want his attention, you actually have to make a phone call. Outside of that, no SMSs, no emails, no social media, nothing at all. But that's the boundaries that he put in place for himself. I mean, look, like for example, me, I have boundaries where I'm not going to sleep next to my phone. So it really just depend on, what boundaries that you want to put in place for you in order for you to be as productive as possible. But for me, again, one of my mentors actually said this. He said, Sam, know thyself. And for me, that meant that I need to know how I operate. I need to know how I get distracted, and for me to then put in boundaries in place so I'm not distracted.
I think that is a very good answer, and I think I've got it very right. You have to set your boundaries, and also, I feel, communicate your boundaries to people who communicate with you so that they are also clear. They are not in the wrong place. They are not giving you WhatsApp messages when they know that you see your WhatsApp once a day or once a week or whatever. Like, I
Ah,
am not
good,
all the time
good
on
luck.
WhatsApp.
Good luck trying to control other people. That's not going to happen. I can talk to my team until I'm blue in the face, saying, "Don't contact me after 5 p.m." But of course, they're going to contact me. So I need to take the responsibility for me and not necessarily put my boundaries onto other people.
Yeah, but I thought, like what you said, when you put a boundary, people should know that's a boundary. Like your friend who takes only a phone call. So if I if I know that that's his boundary, then I will only depend on a phone call. Then I will not waste my effort on an email. So I just thought that you should at least let people know what your boundaries are. But this boundaries is a good concept, and I'm certainly going to take it. Sam, we are coming closer to the end because I wouldn't like to take more time. I'm very conscious of your 45 minutes. Uh, you have written this beautiful book. We talked about people follow people. And you also, in this book, talked about following people and not brands as much. How has leadership shifted from brands to people, and why?
Yeah, great question. So there's been really, really interesting the trends over the last 5, 6 years. So what we saw around 5, 6 years ago was in the top 100 most followed things online, 50% of them were company brands, logos, organizations, governments, media, etc. The other 50% were human beings, individuals. But what we're now noticing today, it's actually only it's less than 9% are government brands, organizations, media, etc., and 91% are human beings, people, humans. And so what we do know then is that we no longer trust brands. We no longer can trust them. Why? Because people follow people. We don't follow brands, companies, logos. And I'll give you an example. Let's say hypothetically I had the greatest product and service on the planet. Let's just say I had the greatest product. But if you didn't personally like me, you're not going to take out your wallet. But let's say hypothetically you had a pretty good product and service. Not the best, but you had the pretty good. It's certainly not the best, not mine, but still really, really good. If I personally like you, I'm going to take out my wallet and buy it. And so what we're noticing is things like Elon Musk has 400 times more followers than Tesla and SpaceX combined. Richard Branson has more followers, himself than Virgin and any of his other handles combined. So for me, yes, people follow people, and so yes, that is all based specifically on trust. But then it begs the question, and the question is this: are you building your own personal brand? And not only that, think about it from this point of view. Your face is your greatest visual marketing piece. It is. It's your face. It's not your logo, not your brand, it's your face. It's you. And I truly, truly believe it's now time for you to be recognized. For you to be recognized by what you're doing. And if you want to get ahead of your competitors, don't build your brand or your company name. Build your own personal name and get your face out there, because people follow people. But we follow them of what we like and trust.
When I walked into the room where Sam Cawthon was talking for the first time in that one day event before I went into the speaker's boot camp, I remember Sam saying, "Do you have your name.com as your domain? And if you don't, I'm going to buy it and sell it to you later."
I did say it.
Yeah. So I remember you talking about it that time. And when I got into business, that was a question which my branding expert asked me. And in fact, she recommended to me that don't promote your company, promote your name. So my logo was my name and everything. So yes, I think that's very, very powerful. Uh, Tell me one thing more, Sam. We always have heard about it, that leaders don't create followers; they create leaders. So, in today's world, and particularly in the future aspects, how is this taking shape? Has it become less important, more important, or the same as before? Creating more leaders, is that a very important part of a leader?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question. Look, certainly, great leader does themselves out of a job and the like. But I also think that we do need to be very mindful of this new younger youth generation that's coming up, because what we do know is that it is now our greatest population, isn't it? Is our Gen Ys, and that's anywhere from around 25 all the way up to about 35 and the like. And so it's very difficult for someone that's a little bit younger to actually be a true executive or a leader as an organization, unless you're a tech company and the like. And so I think twofold. Number one, it is the role of every leader to be ahead of the curve, to have empathy, to have compassion, and have their finger on the pulse where things are going. It's really, really important. But also, number two, the role of a leader is to find the new, fresh generation that's coming up. Not necessarily imparting your knowledge into the same age group, but actually into the new, fresh generation that's coming in from underneath. Because the health of an organization is not only stickability, but it's also if young people are joining as well. Why? Because young people are a lot more social inept. They're a lot more mindful of why they will be joining. And so raise up your next generation of leaders, and not just have a 5-year strategy, but what is your 2030 vision? What is your 2040 vision? It's really difficult for a leader that's in their 50s or even in their 60s to start thinking about, in 15, 20 years. But a 25, 35-year-old, absolutely they'll be thinking 15 to 20 years. So that there's going to be pivotal for any leader's success.
Very good. I think that was beautifully answered. And you certainly deviated from the normal thing of people saying you just have to focus on creating leaders. No, yes, and also, Sam, do you agree that everyone in an organization cannot be a leader, is not meant to be a leader, is not capable of being a leader, because everyone is not the same. So you have to also mm, uh, choose the people who do you think are potentially good leaders. Is that right?
No, no, I don't agree. I think everyone has the capacity to be a good leader. And if you think about it, the number one area of leadership is leading yourself. And I think everyone has the capacity to be a good leader. I think everyone can lead themselves well. And if
Yes,
you can
I,
lead
I,
your
I agree. I agree. Self leadership is certainly something which I really go by and agree. I was only talking about, let's say, other than self leadership, that in a leader in an organization, sometimes you have to identify who are the people who really need to be good leaders. And like you said, um, when you're talking of Gen Y and all, you just mentioned that you have to also be mindful and be also focused on creating uh, more followers as well, because you have to have that space of being a leader who has followers.
Mm. Yeah, look. Leadership can certainly be very lonely, and leadership is certainly, isn't just a glorified title. Leadership is a very, very tough thing, and for those people that really, really want to be a leader, I certainly will not take away the fact that that there is capability in you in being a leader. And so there are certain traits, there's certain way to do it. And certainly for some people, it might be easy. For other people, it might be significantly difficult. For other people, it might be fast. For other people, it might be significantly longer. But I feel that everyone has the capacity to be a leader in any organization.
Thank you. Thank you. That's profound. Um, Sam, in the end, let me close this conversation by asking you what is, if there were 2 to 3 points which you would like to advise leaders of future to be adhering to, particularly from time management and productivity point of view, what would they be?
Can you just say that again? Sorry. If there's,
If there are three things you would like to tell
yep,
leaders of tomorrow,
great.
particularly from the point of view of achieving productivity and maintaining their energy and time, what
Good.
would those two, three pointers be? What points
Okay.
of
So
advice?
the first one is this: it's your decision, not condition, that determines who you are. I've been talking about this now for years, but it's very, very true. Like one thing about the word decision, decide, it comes from the Latin word decidere, in decision means cut, and decide, side means kill. So the word decision means to cut off and kill. And so for me, we all have conditions in our life. My condition is a lot more physical. I've had a major car accident and now left me with a very significant personal disability. But the reality is, it's my decision, not my condition, that determines who I am. So whatever condition that you're in, whether it's financial or the like, I believe it is our decision, not condition. The second one is schedule your energy. And I mentioned that earlier on. It is really important for you to show up when it matters, both from confidence, certainty, and the like. And so if I'm about to do a massive, big international keynote speaking engagement, the focus on that, particularly in my body, and the focus that I need for that, it literally will take me a good solid 3 to 4 days for that one moment. So it's really, really important for you to schedule your energy. And then the last one here, again, I talk a lot about this as well, and I still fundamentally believe in it, and it's this: proximity is power. So Sheila, I love the way how you've leaned in to the proximity of speakers, where you continue to have a mentor and have a coach. I want to be like you when I grow up. But the reality is that who do you have in your world right now that is agitating you, that you're accountable to, that will agitate you so much that you have no other option but to grow? And that's exactly where I would really, really encourage you all. Upgrade your proximity. Start hanging around with those people that you aspire to be like. They're the three.
And you know what? There's a friend of mine who came out with a very interesting formula called 33, 33, 33. He says in
Right.
your proximity, you must have 33% people who are your mentors. You aspire to be like them. 33% should be the people whom you can help come up to your level. And 33% could be your peers. That you have people in your proximity who are the ones you're following, who are you are the ones you are mentoring, and the ones which are your peers, your counterparts, and all that. So I found that to be, so I combine that with proximity to power.
Great. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sam, for your time. And I know that you are so busy, and you're spending this time, and I don't say spending, you're investing the time, and I hope you get good returns because I have certainly got very high returns from your investment of time. And thank you very much for being here. And I continue to salute you. You are my mentor, and we really, really, all of us here in Speakers Tribe in India, just love you, and you know it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Okay, viewers, thank you very much for being here, because without you, we are nobody. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to Sam. Any more questions, any comments, please keep writing. We will be able to get back with you. Even if I can't get Sam, I know his answers from all that I've learned from him. So we'll share with you. Keep the conversation going. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Sam. And bye-bye. See you.